Hi, hello, and welcome back to my fish tank where all of the fish are gone because I pulled them apart limb by limb. When I was a young child at the horrifying age of 10, I found myself thrown into a group of extremist Christian girls that possessed every stereotype that fit the label. It was very much learned, and every piece of media that they consumed had to align with their parents' values or they weren't allowed to watch it, which is how I was forced to discover this awful film. At the time, I barely knew what was going on. I was just told that Jesus sometimes teleported throughout the movie, and that had me hooked. I don't like the original description the writer gave this, so I'm gonna draft one up for you before I start dissecting this dumpster fire, migraine-inducing, unintentional comedy. The best way that I can describe this movie is if Ryuk did a pro-life propaganda Christian crossover and cried the fakest tears whenever someone got an abortion. There's little to no reviews on it, which is exactly why I'm here to shit all over it. The movie opens with Allison and her really shitty boyfriend arguing. We then find out that Allison is an ex-Christian later on in the movie, and it feels like they're trying to display how far she is from her faith, how disconnected she is by having these crystals in her car. By the way, this film was written by Bruce Marchiano, who is a white man, and don't forget that because it comes back later. Allison does a pregnancy test and it comes back positive. What does she do? She punches her stomach repeatedly and then hops around her room. After her boyfriend demanded and threatened to leave her if she didn't get an abortion, she drives to the clinic, which is where the whole movie takes place. In the description of the movie on IMDb, they reference to the clinic that she's going to in quotation marks as if it's not a real clinic. Either that or they're hinting that the clinic is supposed to be Planned Parenthood, which it definitely feels like it is. As she walks up to do paperwork, we're introduced to Lucretia, who is just packed to the fucking brim with gross stereotypes. She's the guide, they made her the angry black woman, she has no father, she has a poor education. All of these things are harmful black stereotypes that they could have left off of her character and it wouldn't have affected the plot at all. There's no reason to add them.
Family, just leave it blank. It doesn't matter.
I always leave it blank. If he ain't here with you, he's a blank. Or you can write something more colorful, that's it.
Colorful? This movie has so many discriminatory undertones, but they draw the line at homophobia. You'll understand later when we meet Jesus.
I could lose my job for asking you this, but are you sure about what you're doing?
This is so wildly incorrect and would never happen. To get an abortion through Planned Parenthood, they make you go through counseling, short waiting periods, and different confirmations, all to discourage you from proceeding with the abortion. This woman wouldn't have lost her job. They're not evil monsters who feed off abortion rates like vampires. A woman then went in for an abortion, this random janitor was mopping, and Allison was waiting for her appointment. Everything was going pretty smooth, and then Jesus started speaking to her. I'm convinced whoever edited this all together has no concept of how time works.
I will never abandon or turn you away. And I love you, Allison. I love you. I love you.
Can you say it one more time? I didn't hear you.
I love you.
Thanks. Allison goes outside for some fresh air and also to call Rick, her boyfriend, because he hasn't been answering her. And guess who shows up?
You could end up with that guy.
The janitor.
Yeah, I always wished I had a father who talked to me like you did just now.
I mean, don't stop there. Can I have a picture of your passport?
How did I end up in this place? I'm just trying to be happy like everyone else.
Yes, because notoriously only bad, terrible people get pregnant, as it is a curse.
What else can I do?
How about have a baby?
I don't know about you, but this janitor is getting a little too personal. If that other woman was scared of losing her job, this guy's about to get crucified. This counselor then rolls up in the most hideous-shaped, visually blinding car I've ever seen in my life. It's so odd how they portray counselors and doctors in this movie. Specifically with this woman, they make her follow the airheaded shrink stereotype.
Never fear, Marta's here. My name is Marta. M-A-R-T-A. I'm a counselor.
Allison then, of course, goes over her interacting with strangers checklist, which just includes I have no father.
Allison needs to think about Allison. You have such exotic eyes. You wouldn't have a little Asian in you, would you?
Huh?
Oh, you know those pro-choice folks always running around acting like they're strung out on meth. You know, they always go up to anyone who that they might suspect isn't white, and they call them exotic because their eyes look different, which means they're exotic. I don't know, man. These eyes just look like eyes to me. She leaves, and guess who's there the whole time? The janitor, or more appropriately named, Jesus.
Who are you?
Well, I'm not a ghost. I'm certainly no angel. I'm definitely not.
You're telling me you're God and you can't even say his name? What's gonna happen if I say it, huh? Is the world gonna implode? Am I gonna lift up, start levitating? What's gonna happen if I say Lucifer? Absolutely nothing. Allison's asking all around trying to figure out who the janitor is, but nobody can see him but her. This begs the question, is he stopping time when he's talking to her, or does everyone around her just think that she's a schizophrenic?
Wendy May Fong. Am I saying that right?
Thank you very much.
Are you okay?
My babies. They're killing my babies. Thousands and thousands of my babies.
That's right, Jesus is sobbing. He's breaking down in a sorrowful cry, upset over the fact that women want a better future for themselves instead of a baby that they probably can't support.
Why don't you do something if it's so awful? People are killing each other all around the world, but no. What about that, huh? But no, you're in here all upset because girls are just trying to live their lives.
Yeah, she just ended Jesus again. Janet or Jesus keeps saying that she, in reference to the clump of cells in her stomach, wants different things, such as to live, wants a hug, wants to see her mother smile. Isn't it crazy how a lump of Nickelodeon slime that doesn't even have a formed brain yet can think all of those things? There's then this moment where Janet or Jesus unveils that he's also helping everyone else inside of the abortion clinic, which not only confirms that he teleports, which we knew, but he can make people go invisible. Allison tries calling her boyfriend, who's a deadbeat, which is just an ongoing theme throughout this whole movie, and then she gets bored, so she goes outside to talk to Lucretia about how she doesn't have a father.
My daddy. He never used to say I love you or I'm proud of you until I realized it just wasn't his love language.
Well, my daddy, he speak the nowhere to be found language.
Yeah. Yup. Allison struggles back and forth after thinking about how if she were to have this kid, it would ruin her relationship with her boyfriend, so she goes and sulks in some random doctor's office. Examination room. I don't know why I forgot the word. A big thing with this movie is trying to make out Planned Parenthood to be some sort of unprofessional baby-killing factory. I know this movie had a terrible budget, but could you not find any decent actors? There isn't a single tear on her face. This doctor ends up catching Allison sleeping in one of the rooms she wasn't supposed to be in, and when Allison woke up, she came to a realization that an abortion wasn't right for her.
I have to get out of here. I don't want this anymore.
What's going on in here?
Now, I'll make it easy on you. I'll give you a multiple choice question to how that situation went. Okay, so A, they'd forced her to listen to a man's opinion. B, they used the power imbalance to make her stay. Or C, there was a crazy cat lady. You're right, because all of those things happened. When a very frightened looking Allison was being drugged down the hallway like a dog, they walked past this operation room of sorts where a woman was being held down and forced to have an abortion against her will. Now, I'm not sure if anyone remembers this horrible movie, but I'm nearly certain that the writers of Unplanned saw this and then just went berserk on Google Docs. So many scenes between the two overlap, especially this one where she's being held down on the table. We see this again in Unplanned. There's so many stereotypes that are just jam-packed into this movie. Whenever the writers got a chance, they just threw one in. Planned Parenthood is only a 3% abortion service, but that's all anyone sees because who cares about the cancer testing, screenings, preventions, the STD testings? Who cares about that? We should be worried about the... we should be worried about the babies. The way this film is portraying Planned Parenthood is just greedy and unprofessional. When Allison's walking in the hallway, the door's wide open with a sign that says private. The only reason that scene's even in there is to show you how greedy Planned Parenthood is, that they'll take your money and hold you down and leave the door wide open and disregard professionalism because they just want money so much. The only reason they included the scene where Allison fell asleep on the examination room's floor was to show you how disorganized the clinics are. In this next scene, Allison's then taken to a staff break room where a male doctor is going to talk her into getting an abortion, hopefully. Again, this would never happen. It's just so unprofessional. He's even eating lunch. Not only does this whole movie botch what it's like to be in an abortion clinic, but they fucked up the process to even, like, apply because they don't just, like, hand them out. I mentioned it earlier, but you're purposely discouraged from getting an abortion so that when you do decide and you make the decision and come to the conclusion that you want one, you're sure. And even if you're not sure, you can say no all the way up into the point where they're literally doing it. They wouldn't hold you down like they did in this movie and also Unplanned.
Even if it is alive, what are you, Allison, going to do with a baby?
Oh yes, this definitely happens, and it's a very well-known staple in all abortion clinics that are located on planet Earth.
You're a good girl.
After Dr. Sheen implies that Allison would never make a good mother, not in the slightest, she walks outside of the room to see another patient on a stretcher who had a complication with her abortion, which rarely happens, and also most likely another scene that Unplanned stole. Aw, this Christian music's just really jerking some tears out of my eyes right now. I can feel the tsunami building up. Yup, that's exactly what you think it is. You know those silly doctors always going to medical school for 8 years just to leave embryonic waste out in the open for everyone to see. Man, I can't wait to get my kidney stones removed so that some 14-year-old Etsy shop owner can come by and nick them off the side of the hallway, turning them into some sort of necklace. This film has to be the weirdest mix of Christianity and sci-fi I've ever seen in my life. I feel like I'm watching the discovery of the CCU. I definitely can't show this next scene, but it's just Janet or Jesus talking about how doctors who perform abortions are greedy and selfish, and then it's a segue into how he isn't selfish, so he shows like the scars on his wrist from when he was like
crucified.
Lucretia's boyfriend then shows up because Jesus danced in the back of a car with him and then told him to go save her.
Either they coming out or the D-man coming in.
What are you doing here? Get on out of here, boy.
Not without you, girl.
It's about to get real good.
He's too excited right now. I want everyone to know who's watching this right now with divorced parents to know that like he did this. It was him. When they were signing those papers and planting the rings and screaming, he was smiling just like that.
I'm not about to talk to you through no glass like you in a zoo.
No need, Miss Glow. He's a harmless little boy.
Do I look like a boy to you?
You ain't no boy.
Lucretia and her boyfriend are all in love now and take off to go to McDonald's real quick while Allison and Jesus play 21 questions.
Why do you hate, like, gay people?
That's a lie. There's no one I hate. There's no one I don't love.
Lucretia comes back and decides that she's going to have the baby. She goes inside really quick to scream at one of the doctors. Again, unnecessary to the plot. She comes out, invites Allison to her baby shower, and leaves. It's time. The time. The only part of the movie that we actually care about at this point. What did Allison choose? It's obvious, but what did Allison choose?
They need you, honey.
You have to choose, and you have to choose now. She just wants to live. And she wants her mommy to want her and not be afraid of her, just like you with your daddy.
The scene ends. It just cuts right after Jesus begs her on his knees for her not to get an abortion, which is just such an unsatisfying ending. Even though we didn't get to hear her say it with her own words, I googled it, and during the end credits, you can hear her kids singing. I can only pray and hope that God next appears in the form of a vocal coach. If I had to sum this train wreck of a movie up into one word, it would just be awkward. Like, the scenes drug on for too long, weird stereotypes, so much medical misinformation. Anyway, it's 4 a.m. And I start school in 2 hours. So I need you all to pray for me. Please, subscribe or don't, I'm out. Here's my Twitter if you want to follow that, and I'm in here, and I do talking in here sometimes. Bye.